Onyx, I guess they're still updating. Now, nothing I say is financial advice, but very recently, Onyx made a post saying Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays from Onyx. Now, why do I think this is something I even want to talk about, right? Well, it's because I also would like to say Happy Holidays in case someone is having holidays. But yeah, besides that point, when I take a look at something like this, what I like about Onyx doing this is I think, first of all, they still care about, I think, arguably, updating the community because they're not, why would they make an update regarding this? But also on top of that, what I'm looking forward to when it comes to Onyx, especially in 2026, is the alleged upcoming launch of their layer 1 blockchain. Who knows when exactly they're going to do it? They say Q1 of 2026. I mean, no exact date, at least that I know of right now. But at least at the same time, I am liking what I'm seeing when it comes to that because they still are allegedly kind of doing this and doing that when it comes to their layer 1 blockchain called Goliath. And that was like something which a lot of people thought would have more kind of coverage, more attention, but it really didn't. And I think it was just not good timing, right? Altcoin space wasn't doing the best. XCN currently, as of right now, it's around 54 times lower than 25 cents. And ever since Goliath, XCN has pretty much not been doing anything in a positive direction. So yeah, the testnet, despite quite a while back ago being this anticipated thing, it wasn't really like living up to what it could be, I guess. But, I wasn't surprised because the altcoin space wasn't doing the best. However, entering into 2026, who knows what could be different, right? Now, in terms of price, I will not be able to know exactly what could happen. But then at the same time, when it comes to at least what they plan to do in 2026, fundamentally, in terms of Onyx, trying to launch the mainnet of their layer 1 blockchain, at least that's something I'm looking forward to. Who knows what could happen as a result of that. But if, let's say, altcoins start having a better sentiment, if, let's say, there's this change, right, in the altcoin space, and then, let's say, they launch the mainnet of their layer 1 blockchain, things could maybe, I think, hypothetically be different in that instance in terms of the sentiment, in terms of kind of the coverage that may have, right? However, even besides all that, XCN, keep in mind, despite as of right now, market cap being below like 250 million, right? But I'm saying, at one point, the market cap was around 1 billion, and that was still in this year, in 2025. However, here's the thing. When it comes to that, that was without the kind of coverage that I see when it comes to the testnet of Goliath, because it hadn't even launched yet back then, right? Also, on top of that, the mainnet was still even like more so of a long distance thing when compared to that, right? Because if there was even no testnet at that point, why would anyone even consider the mainnet? Now, there's actually, I think, arguably for me, more that I could look forward to fundamentally when it comes to Onyx, but then actually XCN is way lower right now when compared to back then, where it really didn't have much fundamentally going on for it in my perspective. Like, it was considered as this somewhat miniature version in terms of the vibe and stuff like that of Stellar and as well as XDC, but there was really nothing more fundamentally that I could take a look at. But now it's a little bit different. Now Onyx is actually becoming, I guess, more fascinating to me, at least, fundamentally. So if XCN was able to do that back then, what could it do if there was the mainnet launch and also on top of that, if there was an altcoin season? This is just my perception. If I take a look at it, XCN as of right now, it's not doing the best, right? I mean, it's over like 5 times lower than where it once was in terms of market cap when compared to January of 2025. But then my perception is this. Is Ethereum around 5 times lower than where it was back in January? No. Is Bitcoin also in that same case? No, it's not, right? It's not over 5 times lower than where it was back in January. The thing is this. Bitcoin as of right now, it's over 3 times lower than 300 grand, right? But the thing is, it's actually never even reached 300 grand ever in history. You know what I mean? It's over 2 times lower than 200 grand currently, but it's never reached 200 grand ever. XCN is over 5 times lower than where it was back in January. And it actually did that back in January, right? It's over 5 times lower than a point that it's reached before in history. That can't be said currently when it comes to Ethereum. Ethereum is not over 5 times lower than where it was at its highest point back in history. You know what I mean? Or even let alone back where it was back in January of 2025. Also, The same thing could be said when it comes to Bitcoin. That's just kind of my perception. If I could only choose a project, I suppose, that could only go back to where it was back in January of 2025, would I be choosing Ethereum or Bitcoin? And I don't know about that. That's just my perspective. But yeah, I'm not telling anyone to anything. This is just my, perception when it comes to this. However, also on top of that as well, people like to ask me, why am I not feeling this pressure by waiting? Now, let me answer this. Because first of all, my thing is I'm just waiting and holding, right? I've been talking about this throughout my videos. But that does not add any extra pressure for me because my kind of thing is, for example, right? We take a look at Bitcoin historically. It went from like $2 to $10 to where it is as of right now. But we saw that kind of happen historically. But at those moments, I was not holding at all. But I was still having to live my life anyways, right? This space, with or without me, is going to do its thing. Whatever direction, it's going to do it, with or without me waiting. Personally, for me, I like to be waiting for something at least because I wonder what could maybe hypothetically happen. I'm just a little bit curious. Because if I just exited XCN right now, which I could easily do, I could just exit out of all of my projects right now and not care. I could do that. But I'm still going to have to live my life anyways throughout 2026. That's my point of view, and also 2027 and onwards, right? Hopefully. So my perspective is that, so I'm still going to have to live my life. But the thing is, if I'm not waiting for something, I don't like that type of feeling. I at least want to be waiting for something. In case something maybe did happen. That's my perspective. So when I take a look at something like this, people like to ask me, why am I not feeling this pressure by holding? Well, it's because I'm going to be waiting anyways. So how does that add extra pressure for me? The only difference would be that if I had like a timeline I had to hold only for like a certain moment in time and then I have to exit, then okay, then that's probably adding extra pressure for me. Also, another situation would be that if, let's say, I had to monitor it every 5 or 10 minutes, then that's adding a lot of pressure, right? Maybe at that point I wouldn't even want to be in this space anymore because then I'd have to be constantly focused on that. But then it's just too much, I think, things for me going on at that point. However, when people like to say again, why am I not feeling pressure by holding? Well, it's because I'm just holding and I'm not like checking it every 5 or 10 minutes. So it's not adding extra pressure for me. Also, on top of that, reading the news when it comes to Onyx and stuff like that, and also about this space, it's stuff I would originally do anyways, right? So it's not adding extra pressure for me in that sense. So I'm just doing what I originally would be doing anyways. So it's not like adding any extra sort of, again, pressure for me. But this is just my perspective. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but this is just my outlook right now when it comes to Onyx. I'm totally aware that at the hypothetical idea of 25 cents, again, it's still very far away. I mean, we're around 54 times lower than that. But at the hypothetical idea of 25 cents, the market cap at that point, considering current circulating supply, would be around 9 billion. The thing is this, XLM, not too long ago, had a market cap of around 9 billion, right? Actually, it was over that, but I'm saying at one point it didn't achieve that. Right now, it's like around 7 billion, slightly less than that. It depends, right? But I'm saying, when XLM reached that recently, was that an altcoin season? I don't think so. This is just my perspective. And it still did that. So could XCN hypothetically match a market cap of that, of a project that achieved that not even during an altcoin season, in an event where maybe there is an altcoin season for something like Onyx? Is that such a tough task? I don't know about that, but this is just my perception. However, if there's going to be more updates when it comes to Onyx, I'm going to be talking about it. However, I want to say happy holidays, and I want to say thank you for watching.